Welcome everyone. We are now on February 16, and this is the second webinar of a 3-webinar series. Today we will be talking about careers in the USA after doing a program in hospitality management with Vatel USA. This webinar has been organized in collaboration between Vatel Mauritius and Vatel USA. Here with us is Rodrigue, the president of Vatel USA, and Renaud Azéma, the president of Vatel Mauritius. I am Nathalie Plaire-Virovac, the program director, and in relation with partnering hotels with Vatel USA. I would like to introduce today our three guest speakers and graduates from Vatel USA. So today we have with us, and I'm very, very pleased to have the three of you with us tonight. It's Diego Ruiz de Porras, who graduated with us in 2011. Is now the general manager of the Soho warehouse in downtown Los Angeles, in California. Frederic Zemmour is a graduate from Vatel Los Angeles in 2009 and is now the hotel manager at L'Hermitage Beverly Hills. And Nicolas Mourier is the youngest graduate. He was with us until 2018 and is now the general manager of the Terrace restaurants at the Maybourne in Beverly Hills, California. So thank you so much for being with us tonight. We have an impressive list of nationalities represented on this call. We have attendees from basically all over the world. We have about 200 viewers right now. And we will have a recording of this session. So all of them all of you who are in part of the world where it's very late or very early today, then you will have a chance to see the recording. But we have 23 countries represented through our viewers, with Bahrain, Belgium, Bolivia, Bulgaria, France, Ghana, India, Italy, Kazakhstan, Latvia, Malaysia, Mauritius, Mexico, Mongolia, Montenegro, Philippines, Portugal, Reunion, Switzerland, Tunisia, United Arab Emirates, United States, and Vietnam. So thank you everyone for being part of this call. I hope you're gonna enjoy this session where we will know a little bit more about how to do a fantastic and successful career in the USA. So without further ado, I'm gonna leave Rodrigue take the lead and starting with a few questions to our hosts.
So thank you, Nathalie, and thank you again, Renaud from Vatel Réunion to help us organize this webinar. And obviously, thank you, Diego, Frederic, and Nicolas. It's great to see you here. I would rather be with you in person and enjoy a nice, get together. It's been a few years now that you have graduated from Vatel USA, and it's quite impressive to see, the path that you have taken and the successful careers that you had. So I'm going to start right away. And I think for all of our audience listening from all over the world, I think the best thing to do for you is probably take a couple of minutes just to tell us about yourself, where you're coming from, what brought you to the US, maybe what was your first position in the US, and how you evolved from that first position, from your internship with Vatel USA. And, give us a little bit of sense of, the difficulties and where you are right now, the role that you have, so that everyone understands your career path, and then we'll try to go more in details. So let's go, Frederic, if you want to start.
Well, sure. Well, nice. Thank you for having me. I am from Lyon in France. I graduated Vatel Lyon, did my bachelor degree Vatel Lyon, then did Vatel LA, graduated in 2009, like you said. I did my internship at the Sofitel in food and beverage, started as assistant manager in the restaurant, and then was hired after my internship. on an H-1B visa, which is an important thing because it was, I don't know if that's still happening or not, if we hire people on H-1B visa, but it was one H-1B for 3 years, worked my way up at the end of the first visa to food and beverage manager, going through some banquet experience also. And then I renewed my visa with Sovitel for another 3 years and studied as food and beverage manager, and then ended up director of operation food and beverage. After that, I did my green card, stayed with them for another 2 years, and then I switched. I studied at L'Hermitage in 2019 as director of food and beverage, and then got promoted to hotel manager last year.
Thank you, Frederic.
You're welcome.
Diego, we're gonna do it in order of the first graduates, which was Frederic, then Diego, and then Nicolas. So Diego, go ahead.
Great. Thank you. Hi, everyone who's on the call right now. It's great to spend a moment all together. And hopefully, you know, with what we can share of our experience in the US, we can you know, motivate some of you to do the same and inspire, you know, the future generation of hoteliers. But anyway, without further ado, so my background is European. I'm from Barcelona, and I'm also French. So I got my bachelor degree in Paris. And after that, I decided to come to the US and get my MBA in Los Angeles. I was working at the time at a small boutique hotel called the Sunset Tower Hotel. And then from there, I went to the London Hotel, worked with Gordon Ramsay. And then I went over to the Beverly Hills Hotel, which is part of the Dorchester collection. And I had a contact from working, you know, in Paris at Le Maurice. So that was an easy, you know, transition for me, knowing the company and, you know, knowing, you know, the success of, you know, the Beverly Hills Hotel. I spent 4 years with them. I started as a food and beverage manager, and then moved up to become a sommelier and beverage director. And then from there, I went to the Peninsula as the director of restaurants. And then after the Peninsula, I opened a beautiful property, the World of Astoria, as the general manager for a celebrity chef, Jean-Georges von Gerichten, who has many restaurants in New York City. And after the World of Astoria, I went to work in Santa Monica by the ocean at a property called Casa del Mar, which is a beautiful property that has a sister property right next door called Shutters on the Beach. And then lastly, now I work for the Soho House in the location in downtown LA that's called the Warehouse, and I am the general manager. So that's my short story here in Los Angeles.
Excellent, Diego. And I think you forgot one little thing, is that you also worked for a private estate for, I think, a year or two, right?
I did, yes. I did work for a family that has two properties in Los Angeles. One of which is in Beverly Hills. The property is 12 acres. Just to put things in perspective, 12 acres is the size of the Beverly Hills Hotel. And that house was you know, that it essentially, you know, is a house for, you know, one couple and two kids, has 31 full-time employees. So it was almost like running a hotel, but not quite the same intensity.
Yes. I think it shows the diversity of the, you know, the hotels and property that you went through. Nicolas, your turn.
Of course. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's thank you, Rodrigue and Nathalie, for having me. It's a real pleasure to share, as Frederic and Diego was mentioning, our background and how we were able to grow thanks to Vatel USA. As Nathalie mentioned, I get graduated in 2018. My background in Los Angeles is definitely smaller than the background of Diego and Frederic. After my graduation, I start working as a restaurant manager for Jean-Georges. So this is where I met Diego, that was my general manager at this time. I was able to learn a lot from his different background in the different property that he just mentioned. I was able to grow and learn about the celebrities of Beverly Hills and how to handle like the service of excellence. I worked with Jean-Georges until COVID happened, and after I moved in a small boutique hotel in Canada where I spent a year. At this time, I was the head of the department of this, the food and beverage department. I learned a lot, how to organize myself, how to train the team, and to be more creative during COVID. But my goal was to come back to LA until the Maybourne reached out to me. They offered me the position of assistant general manager at the beginning. I arrived in August 2021. I took the lead of the Terrace, pushed my team and making sure that we were matching the expectation of our clientele, but also working closely with our general manager of the hotel to matching the expectation and reaching the standards. And on Thanksgiving Day, they promote me as a general manager. So now I'm the head of the department, leading a beautiful restaurant, offering a beautiful view on Cannon Garden. And it's an amazing opportunity for me for sharing with all the students. The Maybourne group is kind of the Dorchesters. It's part of Maybourne group. We do have several hotels in England. We have the Canot, the Claridge's, and the Berkeley, and we just also opened the new Maybourne Riviera in south of France.
Excellent.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Nicolas. I think you are making Diego proud since he was your general manager when you were finishing the program with us in 2017. I just wanted to add that for anyone on the call, you can post your questions on the chat, and we will answer your questions at the end of the webinar. Okay, so just use the chat, write down your questions, and we will ask them to the speakers for you. Maybe Renaud Azéma has his first question.
Yes, okay. Just before the question, one correction. Rodrigue, I'm from Mauritius, not Reunion. I would not like to make Reunion my business. It's Ghislaine's one. Okay, and just before maybe the question, I would like to make a small comment on what we have just heard about your career. It's very impressive, and I think we have to just remind why we are organizing this seminar for the young people looking for their orientation. Firstly, for us, it's a question of reassuring the youth who want to embark on one of the many careers in the tourism or the hotel industry. The sector is doing well, and it's picking up again after these last 2 terrible years. And above all, it is recruiting a lot. I'm sure the panelists will confirm. And we are offering in this world a wonderful career prospects. Secondly, we want to give hope to our young people for whom traveling is a second nature. Your studies, and I'm talking to those who are listening to us around the world, those who are willing to travel, okay, have the privilege to discover the world, and we would like to strengthen your experience, which will be one of your main advantage on the job market. And finally, we want to outline some of the many career options, and what we have heard so far with the 3 panelists is that your opportunities are tremendous, okay? And Vatel is opening your wings, as we used to say. So starting in a school, in a country, and traveling the world during your studies will develop your interculturality, increases your integration skills, and probably will stimulate your creative skills as well. So you will be better equipped not to face the world, but to conquer it. And now back to the question. Let's start with you, Nicolas. You are the youngest, just graduated 2 years ago, what I understood, and you are already GM of the restaurant in a 5-star hotel, one of the biggest and luxurious hotels in Beverly Hills. Congratulations. I'm sure you are very talented, but how did this happen? Did the previous GM left? Why did they offer you the position and not to someone else? Can you explain us how you gained the trust of the hotel manager? Because it's important for our audience to understand that opportunity arises when you have the guts and when you can size it. So just explain us how did it happen.
Of course. So as I was explaining on my introduction, when I arrived, I was assistant general manager. At this time, the restaurant didn't have any general manager, or we had like a few like restaurant manager that was like supporting the team on the floor. So when I arrived, I was assisting our director of food and beverage to bringing some structure to support. So on my day 2, I was really like, I had a big talk with my entire team to understand what was the opportunity for us and for the restaurant to be better. And after, I will definitely mention that is a lot of hard work to get the trust of the team, as well like offering like a better like balance for the team. So because of COVID, I mean, like we know everywhere around the world that this pandemic was a real like challenge for the hotel industry, and also we had to change the vision of like hoteliers. We need to offer like a better flexibilities for a team. So it's a lot of like hard work, I will say. Of course, a lot of skills that we learned in the past with Vatel or in my different like experience around the world. And also what I was learning was like Diego, but it's like the priority is like ensuring that your colleagues and your team, you are taking care of them. When you are taking care of them, they will take care of your guests, and you will create the reputation and making sure that your restaurant is like getting like busier and busier. Due to my hard work and because we were still looking for a general manager, when my GM like called me on the day before Thanksgiving, it was like, Nicolas, we looked for a general manager for more than a year and we didn't find anyone that was matching our expectation. And in less than 3 months, you changed the Terrace in a better way because you were dedicated. You spend a lot of time with your team and you make the change happen. So when they give me the role, you're right. I'm a young graduated. I'm still like young in my career, but the trust that he gave me was a great reward. And every day is a challenge. Every day it's a beautiful journey. And I'm still learning every day, and I'm very grateful of this new opportunity that I have with Maybourne.
Impressive.
Thank you. Very interesting.
Thank you, Nicolas. Maybe Rodrigue wants to ask the next question.
Yes. So Diego and Frederic, your career in a way is similar how it started. You know, you both arrived and started in the F&B department, right? From there, you evolve to sommelier, to F&B director, and now both of you are the position of general manager and hotel manager. Many students, you know, when they arrive to start their MBA or their bachelor, they ask us, you know, they all have, not all, but many of them have the ambition to become a general manager, right? And one of the key questions that they ask us, the professors, myself, is, you know, what path should we take? You know, should we go in the F&B path, in the rooms division? I want to start in the marketing position. I want to start in finance, but the end goal is to be general manager of a hotel. Do you think the F&B department helped you going up the ladder? do you think that the F&B is the best path to take? What would you say based on your experience? And whoever wants to start, go ahead.
Go ahead, Diego.
All right, thank you. Great question, Rodrigue. I mean, we could honestly, you know, with a glass of wine, talk about this for hours. I feel like, you know, there are so many good answers to your question. But you know, for me in particular, I mean, you know, based on the fact that I'm very international. You know, coming from Spain and France, and you know, having lived in, you know, I already have that international exposure. You know, I think that it is important to remember that, you know, obviously, you know, I think Vatel for me, for us, you know, Frederic and Nicolas can attest to it. You know, it's great because, you know, we have the academic knowledge. You know, we also get that international exposure that's very important. But truly, you know, what really makes a good leader in hospitality is your personal brand equity. You know, much more than a resume. When I and I'm sure, you know, I can guarantee you, Frederic and Nicolas also do it. But more and more when I interview, you know, someone, whatever the position may be, I typically don't try and not look at the resume. You know, I try and have a conversation. You know, so to answer your question, you know, what makes a well-rounded executive? You know, we all have our different styles, we all have our different backgrounds, but essentially, you know, there is one quote that I really like that, you know, evolved with time. It's that we are what we eat. And this is a very basic, you know, quote, but I think it's important to, you know, to talk about it, you know, and that quote quickly became, we are not what we eat, but we are what we want to eat. But there is a differentiation between what we do and what we want to do. And that goes back to, you know, the different generations. If we are a baby boomer or Gen X or Gen Y or Gen Z, we need to take all that into consideration nowadays, because our audience changes constantly. When we talk to our guest or member or member of our team, we need to take a moment to look at, you know, who's in front of us and adjust our conversation. And so again, you know, I like to compare this quote to another quote, you know, that reflects more on us leaders. It's like, what is a good leader? A good leader is someone that makes people do what needs to be done. Well, that's not the case anymore. You know, a good leader is someone that makes people want to do what needs to be done. And again, it's the difference between what we need to do and what you want to do. You know, so it is, you know, again, for everyone who's here listening, I think that you need to nowadays more and more, you need to take into consideration your environment, where you are, you know, which city, who's your audience, who's the local community, in which area of, you know, the city you are, and that's all gonna determine, you know, what you need to do, you know, what you need to do in order to you know, to become successful in your position and be able to slowly, you know, move up. In my particular case, I am very proud, and I say it very often, I never actually applied for a job. And I think that, you know, that's the message I want to send to everyone who's listening, that, you know, in this particular career, the hospitality, you know, we have that, you know, chance that there are jobs available constantly. And I think that I want to encourage everyone here to try and, you know, find that area, you know, within a hotel or a restaurant or you know, in the hospitality that really makes you happy. I chose F&B because I'm a foodie. I'm a people's person. I like to, you know, have a, you know, a good time around the table with my family and friends. And so that for me was an easy way to, you know, move up in the industry. But again, there's there's not one or you know, there's not one good answer. You know, you could be very successful, you know, working in housekeeping or working in revenue management or working in F&B. It all depends in what you want to do. Obviously, you know, I would say the best is to do, you know, to explore a career in food and beverage, because I think it's a beautiful career. You're constantly, you know, in movement and in interacting with people. I think that also something that I think is very unique in our industry is that everything is very easy to replicate. We can have the best bedrooms with the best TVs, the best soundproof systems, the best of the best, you know, when it comes to just the rooms and, you know, the products. But what makes the show is us, the you know, the hoteliers, you know, the hospitality employees who, you know, make you know, create the show. You'll notice that every successful venue in the world, whether it is a restaurant or a hotel, has a fantastic food and beverage venue with some sort of, you know, wow effect, you know, and that's, you know, created by us. You know, we are the ones who, you know, create that a sense of, you know, generosity and, you know, that sense of you know, excitement. And so again, you know, we could talk about this for, you know, for hours, and I would love to, you know, continue, you know, on some other question, but there is many ways to go about it. But I think it is important again to explore, you know, inside, you know, what really makes you excited, you know, about this career, and choose what, you know, what's the best fit for you. And then when that happens, you know, I encourage, you know, people to stick to a job that you're good at, and then eventually, you know, the opportunities are gonna come to you. They are, I can guarantee you, they're gonna come to you, and it's always going to be a very organic transition. We're going from, you know, well, when I was at Casa del Mar in my previous property, where acting as a F&B director, I was approached by the Soho House, and, you know, it all started with a coffee chat, and, you know, it soon became, you know, something bigger, and here I am now, you know, and it's something that I took the time, you know, to think, is it the right fit? Is it, you know, is it the right thing for me? Is it, you know, is it something, I mean, it's a beautiful career. You do spend a lot of time, you know, at work, and you do have to sacrifice, you know, sometimes a lot. So you need to choose a career that's going to make you happy, and to, you know, to going back to your question, I chose it because I love this, you know, this career, and being a GM is wonderful. You're really helping everyone, and doing everything. There's not a single day where I don't go home and think, oh my God, what a boring day I had today.
Well, I can feel that, and just by listening to you, Diego, we can feel that there is a lot of passion into what you do, into you. So probably, I mean, the fact that you choose F&B, it's also because you were passionate about food, wines, and service and people. So thank you for your comments. Frederic, you want to say something about that too, because you have kind of similar paths?
So what about like everything Diego said, but I'm going to add a little bit to it, because I agree with everything he said.
Thank you.
Well, you know, you and I were pretty much the same. But what I want to add, I do think that to be a GM, you got to work in operation. If you don't have an operational background, F&B, of course, is great. It's amazing. I do think that F&B is one of the best paths to become a GM, because when you work in F&B, you develop a critical thinking and the way of like solve problem a different way than other departments. Especially when you don't work in operation. And when I say operation, it can be front desk, it can be housekeeping, it can be food and beverage, it can be that. But I do feel like a good GM has an operational background at some point. You can work in sales, you can work in revenue management, but if you don't understand the operation of a hotel, then it's a little harder, and you're not as good as a leader if you don't understand what your employees are going through on a daily basis. And being in revenue management is great, it's amazing, but if you're sitting down behind your computer 10 hours a day, you don't know what a housekeeper is going through. You don't know what a server in the restaurant for breakfast is going through. You don't know all of that. So it's good to diversify yourself. But I do think personally that starting with operation as a basis is going to make you a great GM and a great leader in general. And even not talking about a GM position, but as a leader, I'm sure Nicolas for his restaurant, when you tell a busser to go bus a table, if you don't know how to bus a table, then you're not credible. And it starts like that. It starts with the operation, in the heart of the house, like we call, if you ask a cook to work an extra shift or an extra 12 hours, an extra thing, and if you've never been in their shoes, it's hard to ask people to do things and just, be on the side and like, oh yeah, no, fine, I'm the GM and I don't know what you're doing. So I think it's important to start with operation. Yeah, there's, like Diego said, I don't think there's a specific path. You have to have the passion. It's all about the passion. It's all about people relation. And, we'll see probably later with the questions that we have for the webinar, but, like Diego said, opportunities come to you. If you work hard work always pays. I've always said, be the first at work, be the last to leave. Always be at work before your boss and after your boss. And like show that you want it. If you show you want it and you work hard for it, it will come no matter what. It might take time. And that's what we see lately with the new generation. People are used to instant gratification. And in our business, unfortunately, instant gratification, it doesn't really work like that. You got to work hard to get things. You will get them, but you have to be patient, and you have to understand that things takes a little time, especially for certain positions. The more you go up, the more the positions, of course, are harder to get. So the more patience you need. But instant gratification, I don't think exists in our business. It's all about hard work and passion.
I mean, instant gratification, maybe just because you have a happy guest in front of you and you did something that made their day. Yes. That's the instant gratification for me, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you, Frederic.
Of course.
Thank you, Frederic and Diego, for your sharing. I think this talk is really inspiring for our students. In fact, this is what we are in Vatel, and you have been through the bachelor degree and the MBA in Los Angeles. This is how you grow as a students in the two syllabuses of Vatel, and this is how you probably become employable and have this advantage we talked about earlier on the labor market. But Rodrigue said that your career path was not really identical. Frederic, you stayed, as I understood, with the same company, Sofitel, for approximately 10 years before changing. And you, Diego, you have changed of employers many times. You've been in London Hotel Peninsula, you said Beverly Hills, the Waldorf, and now you are at Soho. What would you say, Diego, is changing employers often is helping to get promotion? What are probably the main yes? Is it helping changing employers?
This is a really good question, Renaud. Obviously, it is often seen as something negative in a resume. But again, let's, like I said, let's put that resume aside and focus on the actual candidate. I think that it is important that we understand, what, people go through and their choices, and how they made their choices. It is not the same to, go from, jump from one job to another, like it is, often the case now with, the newer generations. It is really hard to, and this is something that we work, us as, as leaders now is employee retention. What can we do to keep people, to make them happy? In my personal, case, I was always very satisfied where I worked. I never left in bad terms. I never left because I was tired, or any of that. It was always, like I said, it was always an opportunity that started by a very simple, conversation, and then from there it grew to, a bigger opportunity. And I always chose to move because it was the right thing at that time, and I felt that it was the right opportunity for me. So I tend to, ask myself those questions. Is it the right thing? Is it? Do I have? Did I spend enough time in my current position? And am I satisfied? Am I leaving my team? In a good spot. These are always, essential, questions that I ask myself. But it does help to answer your question. It does help to gain experience. I mean, I would have loved to stay, in one company longer and grow with the company, but things happen differently for me. I don't think it's better to work in multiple hotels versus stay in one hotel longer. It is just, a different experience. And for me, it opened the doors, to always, better opportunities. So I jumped on them when, I felt, that it was the right thing to do.
Thank you for your comments. Frederic, you would like to say something about your longer stay in one group?
Yes. Well, first, I stayed there for that long because obviously I liked it. It was nice. The most important thing, I also kept evolving. I had, I think, 3 to 4 different positions at Sofitel, from assistant restaurant manager to banquet manager to food and beverage manager, and then director of operations food and beverage. So I kept evolving. So there was not really any reason for me to leave. And the second part was also that my visa was only to work there. So I didn't really have the opportunity to go anywhere else. I mean, I had a lot of opportunities, but I had to turn them all down. And I was happy there. It was a fun place to work at. It was great food and beverage program there, and I learned a lot about food and beverage. And I was lucky enough that they provided me with a green card. So then again, like I just said, it's if you work hard, it pays off. I worked really, really hard, and I was able to get a green card through the hotel. I was able to get 2 visas through the hotel. So I kind of like owe it to them to stay there for that long and say pay my dues. But it was a great experience. I learned a lot, and I even once I had my green card, I still stayed another 2 years after that to make sure that I was more than fair with them and giving the best for 2 years. And then I took the decision to leave because I was presented with a great opportunity at L'Hermitage as food and beverage director. So that was the path. But as Diego said, I don't think jumping jobs is not a bad thing. It's good to be exposed to different hotels, different experience. I mean, if you look at Diego's resume, you have Peninsula Hotel, Beverly Hills Hotel, Waldorf Astoria. It's pretty much the 3 best hotel in Beverly Hills. And I can tell you, I work in Beverly Hills. It's really hard working in Beverly Hills. I mean, Diego can assess. It's not an easy market. But to be exposed to the different type of clientele, different company culture, different ways of doing things, different management style, different GMs, different hotel managers. I think it just helps becoming a better leader. So I don't think people need to be scared to jump ships. I was in a very particular situation at Sofitel that as I said, made me stay 10 years. But jumping between hotels is actually a good thing.
Thank you very much, Frederic.
Thank you, guys, for your honesty in all your answers. Nicolas, you probably in age, I would say, the closest to most of the people listening today, who are most of them students. Can you tell us, where do you see yourself in 3 years, and what do you have to do to achieve this goal?
For the next 2-3 years, I will definitely see myself as director of food and beverage or assistant director of food and beverage. The Maybourne group, where I'm currently working, really believe on the colleagues that are currently working, and there's a lot of opportunity. Right now, we have several F&B outlets, but also we will be opening more than 4 other outlets in the next few years. That will give me the opportunity to grow, to learn more, to take more responsibilities. So staying with this group will offering me the opportunity to become, I hope in less than 3 years, the position of assistant of food and beverage director, or maybe the position of food and beverage director if our current director is leaving. But it's just started 2 weeks ago, so I will give him some time, so I will be able to learn from him and grow, and taking my time to grow with the company and increase my skills as a leader.
Right, excellent, thank you. And I hope he's not listening.
No, it's gone.
So that he knows that you're after his position. But I think it's great to have ambition, and I'm sure you can achieve that. And we'll have another webinar in 3 years and have you back on the panel with us. Thank you, Nicolas.
We'll be there.
Okay, so we understood that choices are very important at the beginning of a career, of course, but probably along your career as well. Did you ever refuse a promotion or a position for any reason in any company, and why? I ask the question to Diego first.
All right. I never refused one. No. I was always, lucky to work. Let's just start by saying that this is a very small industry. We all know each other. We all hear, the success of our, colleagues, and it is really, the teamwork, within the hospitality is very strong. We tend to, when we move somewhere, we tend to, bring the people that we like working with us. When it is, obviously feasible, and when it's, when it's not affecting, your relationship with your previous employers. Obviously, you always need to stay respectful, of the people that you work with in the past and who you're bringing with you. But I was always lucky to work, with fantastic leaders that trusted me and wanted to work alongside me. So in a couple of occasions, I got promoted because I was actually rehired by someone that I worked with in the past. A perfect example is when I joined the World of Astoria, which was a dream come true for me. I always wanted to be a part of a big opening, and being a part of the World of Astoria opening was just amazing. I would do it again and again and again. Just fantastic to see something coming along, something that you're seeing from the ground up. Really it's fantastic. When we first started at the World of Astoria, we were wearing vests and hard hats. So it was something very special, to cut the ribbon and to see it, flourish. Very special. So that at that time, the director of food and beverage was a former colleague of mine who was my director of food and beverage at Ruiz Hotel. So he's the one who reached out and said, Diego, why don't you come over and and explore an opportunity with the World of Astoria. So to answer your question, yes, I always went for it because it's often something that's offered by someone that you trust and that you have a stronger relationship with.
Thank you, Diego. And I think like all the audience that you are really passionate. Once you have the floor, you want to talk, to share your experience. Thank you very much for that. It reminds me someone. Frederic, what can you give us an example of a choice who have impacted your career the most?
Yeah, I can also tell you that I turned down a lot of position. I'm not like Diego. I was a little picky. I had a job offer that I had to turn down. And why I turned them down, the first one I turned down not a long time ago was a general manager position for a hotel. It was a good offer, and in another company. But it was a smaller hotel. It was leaving Beverly Hills. It was going to a market that was very different. So I turned it down. The salary was really good. Everything, the package, was really good. But I turned it down because it was in the wrong market for me. I would have had to go back to working long hours at night, and it was very, very F&B oriented, which is, I love that, but it's not something. I mean, I've done F&B for 16 years now, and I think I don't want to say I'm done with it, because you're never done with F&B once you're in it. But I want to focus on like becoming a better hotelier, not a better F&B director. So that's the reason why I turned it down. And then the last one was another hotel manager position in another 5-star hotel in Beverly Hills. But this one, I didn't pursue it because it's all about the relationship. And right now I have an amazing relationship with the general manager of Hermitage. And even if the money was better at the other hotel, I don't think the increase in salary is worth the relationship I have with the GM right now. So I didn't want to risk it. So I think that's why I kept the position I have. Decision that has made.
Sorry, Frederic, to interrupt, but I think this is a very important comment, because most of the youngest today are looking for the best package immediately and are not considering the entire position and what you can get out of the money. And so you just explained them that money is important, but it's not mainly the fuel of your motivation every day. So you can find your rewards somewhere else.
It should be a fuel of motivation. Don't get me wrong. You can't leave if you don't have money. I mean, we all have a cost, but money needs to cover your cost and a little bit. But I do feel like, relation, like it's not the first thing. Like for me, or for that, in that particular example, it was really, I would have to start in another hotel, learn a new culture, build relationship with a new general manager, learn the way of the company and everything. And I don't think at that time it was the right move. And I mean, I'm sure Diego and Nicolas do the same thing. You gotta trust your guts. When you get the offer and you start talking to people, and it sounds great on paper. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of thing, and you have that little feeling that says, hey, don't do it, don't go, wait a little bit. And like, if you have that feeling, if it's not 100%, then don't go. If it was a good move, if it's a good move, you'll know right away, and then you'll jump on it. If there's a little hesitation, then there's no hesitation. It's not the good move.
Okay, anyway, managing is taking decisions. We all know that now. And in your personal life and professional life, you have to take decisions. Money should not be put at the beginning, but if you deliver, then money will come, and of course your entire career will succeed. Thank you very much, both of you. Rodrigue.
Very well said. So to all of you, obviously, one of the key factors, and I hope we did something right at Vatel during your education, whether it was during your bachelor program or during your MBA. Is there a course that you remember, a professor that you think have helped you the most to become a great manager, to become a great leader? Do you have something in mind that you think helped you in your careers?
I mean, I think I will start because I'm the youngest, so the souvenir is still pretty close. I will give more time to Diego and Frederic to look in the past for them. For like, as Diego was mentioning also earlier, like Vatel really offer us, and I think Frederic, like I mentioned that also, is that with Vatel we learn everything. So we learn and we start on year one with the basics. So to learn how to, when you're in the operation, is like learning how to cut the vegetable when we are in the kitchen, like how to clear the tables, and learning all the basics that now as a leader we are training our team. And it's really important that as a leader we know the position of all the different like talents and colleagues that are working with us, but also like having the courses that help us to manage. For me, I will definitely remind our professor of marketing in Vatel Lyon that was really like pushing us to understand the market, and that definitely something that is really important as a leader is understanding the market, so understanding your clientele, but also understanding your audience. I had the opportunity with Vatel to work in several like different countries, and the culture is something that I learned how to adapt my leadership. I work in Switzerland, I work in French Polynesia, and now I'm working in the US. And I can tell you that culture-wise, it's a different leadership. Switzerland is different, is definitely like Europe. So it's like all hand on deck. But like in California, you have some regulation and you have some hotel that is working on the union. So you have to make sure that you need to talk to your team on a different way that you can talk like in Europe, because the perception of the culture will be different. And having these several courses and understanding like your audience is really something that helped me to grow and to become the leader that I am right now.
Diego, any souvenir or Frederic?
Yes, I do actually have. Back in the days in Paris, I'm blanking on the name of the teacher. It's been a while, but she was a former GM of a palace in Paris, and I remember, not with her specifically, but in general with my teachers, the moment I would enjoy the most was at the end of the class, when we would go closer to the chalkboard and have very casual conversations with the teachers. And a funny story actually, and I'll always remember that story, is the reason why I ended up in Los Angeles was due to one of those casual conversations at the end of a class where one of my teachers told me about Vatel Los Angeles. And during my break, right after talking to them, I went back home for during my 30-minute break, and I called Nathalie.
Nice.
And I don't know if you remember Nathalie, but I think in 24 hours I signed up for Vatel Los Angeles.
Yeah, you had a lot of very interesting questions, and I felt the passion. And then a few months later, you were here.
Yes, and it's important to remember that the teachers, they teach a very specific topic, but they are adults who have a lot of experience, not only in hospitality. So I encourage the younger students to connect with them, in a deeper level, at the end of the class, and engage with them, if they have questions, that even if the questions don't have anything to do with with the topic of the day, we are here, with our experiences to help, the younger students, become the next generation of leaders. So.
And I think what you're just saying, Diego, is very important, because it's also very cultural. In some countries, the professors is over there high up and the students is right there, and they don't dare to have a communication. We thrive here in Los Angeles and San Diego to make sure that there is not really a student-professor relationship, but they are like together, as professionals in the industry, to build relationship and to inspire. The professor is more like a consultant, a chef d'orchestre, and discussing with the students to make sure, the conversation is open. And, I really push for all our professors to give their cell phone number to students and have an open dialogue. So sometimes, like you say, it's not necessarily what is done during the classes, but converse, by talking and by discussing with a professor can help you a lot. Frederic?
I remember Sean Jasso.
I was sure you were saying
marketing.
Marketing, Sean Jasso. Every time we would give a paper, or he would give us an assignment and a book to read about, to achieve the assignment, to complete the assignment, he would always say, dig deep. And that stayed with me in everything. Dig deep, just don't look at the first little thing. Just step back, look at the big picture, try to understand the different aspect of the problems, try to understand the different aspect of everything, put yourself in people's shoes, be open-minded, just, listen to your team, try to understand things. I think, it's that, and that sticks with me. Dig deep. Don't just, don't look at the surface, just go deeper in everything you do.
Excellent.
That's brilliant, Frederic. And I wanted to mention also that the teaching methods is different, because here the professor is not here to teach something directly to the students. He's here to help the students understand some concept that they will learn by themselves at home through readings, case studies, articles. And then when the students come to class, they only come to class for 4 hours, and they're here to apply the concept that they've learned during this reading time and understanding through the readings at home. And so the class sessions are very participative, and the students are using their own experience to think out of the box and propose their own solutions, their own way to apply that specific topic or things that is the subjects of the day, and then they can really apply and learn the next day working in their hotels. Is that
yeah? I see that we getting close to the time that we have for this webinar. So I want to leave the last question for Renaud and go back on the career path. Renaud, if you have one last question before we take maybe a couple of questions from our chat room.
Yes, we have a few questions in the chat room, so
yeah.
we'll do that after
Rodrigue,
the question.
I think we can give the floor for the question now. We had a last question. It was, would you have had the same success in your own country? But we all understood through your comments and sharing that it's a question of choice, and it can happen anywhere. So the relationship you can have with people could be set in US, in France, in Spain, or in Thailand. I think it's a question of time and people you meet. Of course, you have to keep the same the good spirit and the good disposition to create the strong relationship that can help you to grow, and it can happen everywhere. And I think Nathalie, if you have, because I saw in the chat room that there is some interesting question, I think for the panelists and for Rodrigue and myself, maybe 10 minutes we have left.
Yes, we have about 10 minutes, so let's try to keep the answers short. And we have about 3 or 4 questions for you. The first one is from Jeanne, and actually I say hello to Jeanne because I know she's a current student of us. She says, what have you learned from the COVID experience, business-wise? Frederic.
Everything. That's how I was able to jump from director of Beverly to actually hotel manager. Without COVID, it would have been maybe a longer path. But because of COVID, when COVID hit, of course, we had to lay off most of the staff, and we stayed about 9 directors/managers to run the hotel. And we were doing everything. So, as director of food and beverage, of course, there was not much food and beverage going on. So I ended up working 3 days in housekeeping, 2 days at the front desk, covering shifts. And it was the same thing for everyone. As the director of marketing, everybody was just working operation and making sure the hotel was staying open. Just a little background, the hotel I work at, we do have people who live in the hotel. So we couldn't just close the hotel and say, hey, you guys just go. They would have gone to our competition and we'll never see them again. So we made sure that the hotel was staying open, and we had our long-term guests staying with us and giving them the service they were used to receive, minus certain things, because restaurants, all of that, were not allowed to be open. So I had the chance, because I really call that a chance, during COVID, to be exposed to every single department of the hotel. And that helped me so much. And that's when I understood that I had to put food and beverage a little bit behind me and focus on becoming a better hotelier and learning more about the hotel aspect. And COVID gave me that. And that's how I was able to transition to hotel manager very easily.
Yes, that was very interesting. Anyone wants to add to that, or should we skip to the next question? Do you have any comments, Diego or Nicolas?
I think that was a great answer, Frederic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Frederic. So I'll go with the next question from Dennis. He says, good morning, even though it's good night for us here. With the new normal, we need to develop new skills and be resilient, in capital letter. Can the panelists advise on other qualities beside optimism that would help students be resilient?
Well, I can answer that. I think that we need to remember we work with people. So I think that we need to remain humble and really tackle that human aspect. We need to be, as leaders, we need to be fair, firm, and consistent. I think that consistency is key always. When we work, and make sure that everybody is treated with with the most respect and dignity. It is more and more important, especially nowadays, to make sure that we are with the team doing the work and not only delegating the job. I think that Frederic touched on it. We need to work and set the example. We need to work with our teams and show that we know what we do. We've done it before, and do it with them.
Yes, and I advise you also, if you want to know more about being resilient in time of COVID and after COVID, we in our next webinar next week, we have 2 general managers who will develop this subject a little bit more in depth. Should we go to the next question? That's from Andrew. He says, how general manager can do to be more sustainable in firms, not only about the ecological aspect, but also promoting the social aspects, either to their employee or local people?
That's a great question, actually. Being eco-friendly is very important nowadays. The sustainability initiatives are never enough. I think that more companies should do should show more love for our planet. There are many things we can do as a company to be more sustainable. The easy things are putting up signs to make sure that we are recycling and making sure that we're throwing bottles with glass, paper with paper, and then food waste with food waste. And there are other ways to actually even take it to the next level. It always comes with with a cost. There is companies like Orca who offer systems where we can put all the food waste in a machine, and that machine basically mimics the digestive system of our bodies and transforms the food into a paste and then into water. And then what essentially what you're doing is that you're not you're not taking the food to a truck, and then that truck is gonna take the food to a a plant where they're gonna get rid of it. And what happens is that you're saving fuel from the truck, and you're also saving you're also protecting the planet, because you're not creating all the fumes from the food that's getting bad during the transportation. So there are many things, making sure that when in the cafeterias that we use plates that we can wash, not just disposable plates or silverware. I know that during COVID we've been using a lot of to-go containers, which I think is great, but we need to go back to using actual plates that we can run through the dishwashers and reuse. So many initiatives, and bigger companies are doing more and more eco-friendly initiatives. So it's great to see.
Agree. Anyone else? So next I have a question, and that might be the last one maybe, from Emran. He says, hello everyone. I was wondering, what job can I get after completing a bachelor's in hospitality management initially? So what would you say are the positions accessible from students after a bachelor degree?
Assistant manager. I think it's the best to get your foot in and then work your way up.
And also it will depend of like the motivation of the candidate. As Diego was mentioning, as it's not about the resume, it's not about your background, but it's really about the personality of the person and how you want to grow. Of course, you have to make some choice in your career, but also you have to give you the opportunity to grow. So you can stick to your job, you can just do the strict minimum and it will take you a lot of time to grow, or you can do the extra miles, as we as a leader and in this hospitality we are doing for our guests, is that all the time going out of the box to see how we can provide the best experience. As a student, if you want to grow, you need to think as a head of a department, what can I do to make my department better? So if you put these hours on the tables, your leader will see that and they would like to reward you, and that will give you the opportunity to grow. And I think it's a lot of hard work. And after, when you build this background, you will be in the same scenario than Diego, that you don't need to apply. People will just reach out to you and you will just get a good opportunity and a good career.
Very well, very well. I think that's it. We had a question about the courses, but I put my email address in the chat if someone wants to reach out and have more questions that they didn't have the time to ask, or they can always reach out. I think we are getting to the end of this very interesting webinar, and I want to thank every one of you, panelists and viewers, attendees, to be with us. It was very interesting. Thank you so much, Renaud and Rodrigue, for organizing this series of webinars. Our last of the 3 series is next week, where we're going to have 2 GMs talking about the COVID crisis before, during, and after. Do you want to say something else before we end the webinar, Rodrigue, Renaud?
Go ahead, Renaud.
Yes, thank you. It has been really interesting, and listening for graduates who are alumni and growing in their career is always a pleasure. It's really something rewarding for us in the educator sector to see when on dit en français, quand l'élève dépasse le maître. And thank you for this inspiration you can share now with those who are still students. I would like to take the advantage of closing this webinar as well to inform you that from this year, students who will do their 2 first year in bachelor degree in Mauritius, will be able to end up with a year or more in Los Angeles and in USA. We in Mauritius encourage this combination because coupled with Marco Polo, which is a program of exchange program between schools, it will further strengthen the international dimension of the experience acquired with Vatel. And so I encourage the students who are listening for us to go for it and to follow the path of those who have shared tonight their experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Renaud. Thank you, Nathalie. And I'm going to add just one thing again for Frederic and Diego and Nicolas. It's great to see you. I think, you know, Vatel is really a family. And, you know, like you said, Diego, the hospitality is a small world. Well, everybody knows everyone, you know, building relationship is very important. But we have to stay very humble. And I think you show that, you know, you've achieved a lot in 10 years in your career, you know, and you stay very humble. I think we as director of Vatel also stay humble because we didn't do your career. You did it yourself, right? We try to give you the tools, some skills, and then it's up to you to make it happen. And that's what you've shown us. I hope, you know, every student out there around the world, you know, to basically take you as an example and do their best, be passionate, be humble, and achieve the best. So thank you again. It's just great to hear you, great to have your feedback, and I'm sure we'll see each other soon in Los Angeles.
Yes,
all right.
And I want to say I'm very, very proud of you, all of you. I'm very proud of all the students who are coming, and I'm so happy when I see that they have a successful career. So thank you for sharing your adventure, your career path, and hopefully we will see you very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for having us. Great to
Bye,
see
everyone.
in the Spain.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And Nicolas.
Thank you, Diego. Thank you, Nicolas. Bye-bye.